is.
You ready?
All right.
Do you want to, like, Nigun Purim to start?
No.
Well, you gotta get some people sent in somehow. I can just sing Purim.
Okay.
Okay. Purim, Purim, Hagadol Hulayudim, Masechot Rashanim, Mirot Rikudikim.
Havana Risha, rush, rush, rush. Havana Risha, rush, rush, rush. Havana Risha, rush, rush, rush.
Barashim. Yai da da, yai da da, yai da da da, yai da da, yai da da, yai da da, yai da 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 da, yai da da da, yai da da, yai da 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 da, yai da da, yai da 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 da, yai da da da. Purim Sameach, everyone!
Hi, Purim.
It is so lovely to see you all. Welcome, welcome. As you settle down and grab a seat, please make sure you have a Purim booklet so you can follow along. Grab a grogger from the back. And can someone remind me why on earth do I have a grogger? Sean, why do I have a grogger? To drown out Haman. All right. I think we're ready. I think we're warmed up. We know the instructions. We know what to do. Are you ready to celebrate Purim 2022? All right. Ooh, careful, careful. All right, we're going to get started with our service. So if you want to open up your booklet to page 1, I invite you to rise if you're comfortable and able to do so as we move into our Mariv service.
What? Mine is on. I don't know about the other.
Is mine not on?
Ve'horachum yechaper avon lo yashchit. Ve'erba lahashiv apov lo yerko chamato. Ala Hashem al chaneinu b'yom kareinu. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
You may be
Baruch
seated.
Adonai HaMevorach le'olam. Mumble, 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 mumble. Ma'avir yom mevi laila, ma'avdil ben yom ben laila, Adonai tzavot shemo, chai v'kayam tamidim lochan leinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch Adonai, Hamari v'aravi.
Amen.
Avarolam, mumble, 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 mumble.
We mumble our way through the bottom of page 1. Mumble, mumble, mumble.
Mumble, mumble, mumble. Kihim chayenu,
V'yorech yameinu.
Uvahem negei yomam v'layla. Kihim chayenu, v'yorech yameinu. Uvahem negei yomam v'layla. Kihim chayenu, v'yorech yameinu. Uvahem negei yomam v'layla. Kihim chayenu, v'yorech Hayomam v'layla v'yavatecha tasir mimenu li'olamim Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael
Page 2.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol miyodecha v'hayu הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטודפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך והיה אין שם תשמעו צרי שנוכחים בצבאכם ויאללה לבנה דתים את הארצכם Adonai Elohechem emet.
Page 4.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ובני ישראל לכנו שירה בשמחה רבה ויאמרו כולם מי כמוך אלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נהרה תחילות הספר מלכותך רבנך לקיים לפני משה זה ליד ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי בדל את יעקב וגולו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גא ישראל
To the top of page 5, and we have a moment to be serious together in our service as we get to the Hashkivenu prayer, which is a prayer for peace, protection, compassion, a prayer in which we ask God to spread out the Sukkot Shalom, a shelter of peace to us and to everyone in the world. And I want to share with you this evening a prayer for peace for the people of Ukraine by Rabbi Naomi Levy. Since even as we are so excited to be back here together in person 2 years after we last were together all in person in this way, we know that the world is so fragile and that there are people in this world who do not have such a shelter of peace in this moment. They do not have a place of security and of safety. And so we send these prayers out as we create so much joy. Hopefully this joy, this peace, and this protection can find its way to all the corners of the world where it's needed. Rabbi Naomi Levy writes, God, our hearts are with all the people of Ukraine, its President Vladimir Zelensky, and with our Jewish brothers and sisters in Ukraine, 200,000 souls who crouch in fear as the sound of sirens and bombs pierces the air. Synagogues once filled with songs of celebration have become makeshift shelters. Echoes of the Holocaust reverberate. The memory of the 1.5 million martyred Ukrainian Jews. God, we pray that the panic in the streets of Ukraine will give way to the sound of children playing, and the sound of sirens will give way to songs of hope. We pray that the world community will unite and cause the Russian army to retreat. We pray for no more violence or bloodshed, and we pray that diplomacy will be the path to peace. Hear our prayers, God. Hear the prayers of the mothers and fathers, the prayers of the children longing for safety. God, our shelter, bring peace. Let it rain down from the heavens like a mighty storm. Let it wash away all hatred and bloodshed. Peace, God. Please, God. Amen.
Amen. ותשמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום יתהווה עולם ברוך אתה אדוני שומר עמו ישראל
Amen. Middle of page 6.
יקרא ויתקדש שמי רבה ויעמד יברכתירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ליומי יומיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם וינשא יתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי קדושה בריחו ויעלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ויאמרו
Amen. We turn to page 7. I invite you to rise if you're comfortable and able to do so for our Amidah, which is the silent part of our service. The Amidah begins on page 7 and continues through to page 11. And remember to add in the prayer on the bottom of page 10, Al Hanisim, which thanks God for the miracle that we celebrate during this holiday of Purim.
יגדל ויגדל שמי רבה, ויעמד יברכתירותי וימליך מלכותי בחיי כל ביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל בגלה בזמן קריב יאמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ליומי יומיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם וינשא ותהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי קדושה בריחו לעלה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ויאמרו Amen. Take about to Lord Hon, away to Kondako Israel, Kodam, Abahon of Ishmael Bimaru. Amen. Yeh Shalom Mishmai, Vachaim, Linamo, Israel Bimaru. Amen. Say Shalom Bimramav, Say Shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol Yishmeti v'al v'yamaru. Amen.
We flip ahead for the end of our Megillat booklets here to page 44, and I invite you to rise once again for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'ateit kedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam, v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim, Lifnei Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'ne'emar V'haya Adonai L'melech Al Kol Haaretz Bayom Hahu Yeh Adonai Echad U'shmo
We turn to page 46, and as we conclude our service before we move into our Megillah reading, we come together for Mourner's Kaddish for Kaddish Yatom, and we send our condolences to Lori and Andy and Zoe and Eli on the passing of your mother and grandmother, Deborah Schwartz. If there are others who are remembering someone in this moment, if you wish to share their names with our community, I invite you to do so. Yeah, Alexis. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry for your loss. May her memory be a blessing. So I invite those who are in mourning to please rise to recite the words of the Mourner's Kaddish, along with those for whom it's your custom to rise in support of the mourners. Page 46. Yitz Gadal, V'yitz Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, V'alma Dira Kirutei, V'amlith Malchutei, V'chaye Chon, Uvyome Chon, Uvchaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, V'agala Uvizman Kariv Imru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mivorach Leolam Olomei Olmaya. Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitha'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalel Shemei Zekudasha Richu La'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechemata Ta'amiran V'alma V'imru Amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabbah Min Shemaya V'chaim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mromav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. May the memories of all those who we hold in our hearts forever be a blessing to you and to all who are blessed to know them. You may be seated. So we turn now in our booklets all the way back to, let's see, page 6.
What? I thought we were done.
All right. Thanks for coming out, everyone. Nice to see you. Cantor Benjamin. Have a good night. No? Not so much? Not so much. We have a lot going on right now because all of you thought you were coming to BTBJ. But actually, I would like to welcome you, actually I'm supposed to say it this way, all creatures, great and small, welcome to the Moon Theater. So this evening, it is so wonderful that you've all joined us tonight for our Megillah reading, for our talent show. Me and my buddy here, thank you to my assistant. I have another one too. I just multiply. I come in all shapes and sizes. So thank you so much for joining us. And so as you will see, as we're telling our story this evening, you will laugh, you will cry. You will hear some of the reading of our ancient story in Hebrew. You will hear some of the ancient story in the very interesting rhyming version that we have for you tonight. You will be entertained from those in our room, those who are here, and you will be entertained our evening together to celebrate and to tell this story and just be so excited to all actually be here together. I am so excited to see all of you. I can't believe it. I'm like, switching around here. But it has been 2 years since we were here. Raise your hand if you were here in 2020. So think back to that moment for a second. There were some people I remember talking to who said, you know what, I really want to come to Purim, but I've heard a little bit about this virus that's going around, and I'm getting a little bit nervous, and I think that I'm just going to sit this one out, and I'll see you next week. Then we all heard the news that we were all going to have to stay at home for 2 weeks. 2 weeks stuck with our families. 2 weeks. And so we bought all the toilet paper we could possibly find, all the Lysol wipes. There was nothing left. 2 weeks. And here we are 2 years later. Whew. So just take a deep breath. Appreciate this moment. Appreciate what a blessing it is to be here to celebrate together with family, to be here to celebrate with our BCBJ family, to be here to celebrate with friends. And in the midst of all of this, we're telling a story of joy and tragedy, moments in our history where bad things have happened, and God willing, we came out on the other end. And so as we sit here tonight, and bad things are still happening in the world, God willing, we'll all come out on the other end. So put your hearts and souls into this service tonight. Send your prayers out to everyone who needs them, so that God willing, we'll find some peace, we'll find some joy, and we'll come out on the other end. Okay. Whew. We are going to dive in with our blessings before our Megillah reading. You can find them on page 6. Are you doing that?
I guess so.
Go for it.
All right. Page 6, the Barachot, before reading the Megillah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kichanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mikra Megillah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim lavoteinu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'achiyanu v'kiyamanu v'yanu lazman hazeh.
As I said, as we move through our service this evening, we will be engaging in a once-in-a-lifetime talent show opportunity up for grabs. Lifetime supply bragging rights that you can win if you participate in our talent show this evening. And our first submission to our talent show is actually coming to us all the way from the Holy Land of Israel. Some of you might recognize her from such places as Junior Congregation. It's Cantor Genderetz Keller.
Color-coded jumbo print.
So our reading of our Megillah will begin on the bottom of page 6.
Vayihi bimei Achashverosh. Who? Help me out here. Achashverosh. Amalech mehodo v'yad kush. Oh, wow, I still do need these. Hold on. better. Sheva v'esrim umei medina bayamim hahem kishevet hamelech Achashverosh al kisei malchuto asher b'shushan habira b'shnat shalosh lemalcho asa mishte l'chol sara ve'avadav chel paras umadai u partimim v'sarei hamedinot lefanav beharoto et Osher kavod malchuto ve'et yakar tif erek gedulato yamim rabim shmonim umeat yom.
In the days of King Ahasuerus, they drank without unit awareness. The satraps and princes ate shashlik and blintzes and talked about Queen Vashti's fairness. They feasted in Shushan the palace. Each man had a solid gold chalice and spent night and day knocking back Chardonnay and a very fine bourbon from Dallas. After filling his goblet with whiskey, the king was predictably frisky. He said, "No one's seen such a wife as my queen, so I'm going to try something risky." I should keep going? Okay. Queen Vashti was called to the party, while the king grew increasingly hardy, saying, "Let her come wearing an outfit that's daring. I want her to look downright tarty." Resplendent with alcohol and rouge, Vashti answered, "I'm nobody's stooge. The king is a boozer, a nerd and a loser, and only his chutzpah is huge." The king was both angry and grieved, and his hotshot advisors were peeved. They called Vashti seditious, rebellious, and vicious. And this is the pain they conceived. "Get rid of the queen and don't tarry. And sir, you should quickly remarry. The king's main enforcer insisted divorce her. You'll soon feel as happy as Larry." Where's Larry? They mailed every Mede and each Persian, saying, "Guard against wifely subversion. If the women protest, robust tactics are best. And don't draw the line at coercion."
Toda rabah, Gosh family. Yasakoa to Sarah on your reading of Megillah. Before we move into chapter 2, we have our next submission in our BCBJ talent show. Give it up for Talia Wine.
Yeah, if you would like.
Otherwise known as Mini Moon. Talia will be engaging us all this evening in a rousing game of Haman's Hula Hoop Hoopla. The way that this is going to work is that in this hat, it's a hat, it's an ore bucket. In this hat, we have names and pictures of many of the characters that you will be hearing about in our story this evening. I'm going to come around and ask for volunteers to help pick a name out of the hat. During all of this, Mini Moon here is going to be hula hooping. She will keep hula hooping and hula hooping as we pick these names. If you get a name like Esther, if you get a name like Mordecai, she's going to keep hula hooping. But if you get a name like Haman, the hula hooping will stop. So we'll see how many rounds of this we do. Test how the kicking goes. Test how our hips are feeling. Yeah? Okay. Are we ready to start? Yeah. There we go. All right, Pikachu. We have Queen Esther. Aaron. Can you do another round? All right, she's up for another round. Let's hear it for Mini Me. All right, who do we have next?
Mordecai, who lived in the city, was a man full of kindness and pity. He loved Torah and peace, and he brought up his niece, who was lively, good-natured, and pretty. He called for his niece, and he blessed her. He said, "I've a plan, dearest Esther. I've thought up a ruse, and it's good for the Jews. All it takes is a bullish investor. Now, you are my pearl and my treasure, an asset and truth beyond measure. I don't wish to scare you, but I mean to share you. Our aim is His Majesty's pleasure." Esther moved to the king's royal quarters, where Persia's most glamorous daughters used oil and cosmetics and tantric athletics, enjoying natural hot waters. Lo higida Esther et ama viet moladata ki Mordechai tziva aleha asher lo tagid uv'chol yom v'yom Mordechai mitalech lifnei chatzer beit hanashim lada'at et shlom Esther uma ya'aseh ba. The king said, "This Esther's appealing. Let her put on a dress that's revealing. When she's on my divan, she'll think, 'Oh, what a man.' There's a looking glass, too, on the ceiling." To Mordecai, Esther was loyal. She submitted to being a royal. It was hardly devotion, but clearly promotion, so Esther tried not to recoil. Two chamberlains, meanwhile, conspired. The death of the king they desired. But Mordecai heard, and their plan was deterred, and he told them, "Go home, you're both fired."
Toda Rabba Morafai. So before we get to chapter 3, we will soon be introduced to a man who is infamous among our people. We've already spoken of him some this evening, and every time we speak of him, we drown out his name. Who is this man? Haman! So on the one hand, we're really supposed to tell this story. We're supposed to tell what happened when Haman tried to get all of the Jews to bow down. But at the same time, hold on. At the same time, we don't talk about Haman.
Lucy, what kind of understand what this feels about? Well, all I know is when you hear they hate it, you have to yell,
friends at Temple Emmanuel in Beverly Hills for their submission to our talent show this evening. We now move on to chapter 3. Isabel. And Mayani. And Dahlia. You're welcome to come up if you'd like. And Barbara Cohen. Polinsky. And if you want to follow along in the Hebrew, we are on page 14.
Got it. That is a hard act to follow,
That
but
is
here we
all
go.
I have to follow. But you know what? You don't have to do
Oh,
it.
Isabel,
does.
good.
Remember where I am here. Okay. אחר הדברים האלה גידל המלך אחשוורוש את המן. ועמדת האגני וינשאהו וישם את כיסאו מעל כל השרים אשר איתו וכל עבדי המלך אשר בשער המלך קוראים ומשתחווים להמן. וכן ציווה לו המלך ומרדכי לא יקרא ולא ישתחווה ויאמרו עבדי המלך אשר בשער המלך למרדכי מדוע אתה עובר את מצוות המלך ויהי כאומרם אליו יום ויום ולא שמע עליהם ויגידו להמן לראות ויעמדו דברי מרדכי כי הגיד להם אשר הוא יהודי וירא המן כי אין מרדכי קורא ומשתחווה לו וימלא המן חמה ויבז בעיניו לשלוח יד מרדכי לבדו כי הגידו לו את מרדכי ויבקש המן להשמיד את כל היהודים אשר בכל מלכות אחשוורוש מרדכי בחודש הראשון הוא חודש ניסן בשנת 12 למלך אחשוורוש הפיל פור הוא הגורל לפני המן ליום מחודש לחודש 12 הוא חודש אדר.
That's tough.
Whoa. Okay, chapter 3. There arose shortly after to power a certain man, haughty and sour. He was Haman by name, and was greatly to blame, making poor people grovel and cower. Now Mordecai wouldn't kowtow. Before God alone would he bow. No man could assuage Haman's terrible rage. I'll see Mordecai hanged was his vow. He sought out the king to suggest that all Jews be placed under arrest and sentenced to die, though he didn't say why. And the king did not choose to protest. For this crime they selected a date. Haman said, we better not wait, but just to be sure, we'll cast lots, known as poor.
All right. For our next submission to our talent show this evening, we have a piece that was composed by Ron Blitzer and Eris Cohen, also known as Juno Mars. Nope, not this. dance, James. Want to dance with me? Hey, 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 hey! Want to dance with us? Ready to dance? Do you want to spin? Woo! Yeah, I love this. Woo! You can go up on the bima. Come on up. Woo! Thank you. I like the big finish, James. That's awesome. Oh, I love it. Yeah, James is playing the guitar for us. Thanks, James. Thanks for getting the dance party started.
Yay, dance party. All right.
Can't help but dance to Juno Mars. Chapter 4, Cantor Benjamin.
All right, chapter 4. The Hebrew is going to begin at the top of page 18. Vatavona narod Esther v'sireh v'sariseha v'yagidu laha v'titchalal hamalka me'od v'tishlach v'yadim v'halbish et Mordechai Yasir sako me'alav v'lo kibel v'tikra Esther lehatach Misarisei hamelech asher hamid lefaneha v'titzavehu al Mordechai ledat mazeh ve'al mazeh v'yetzeh hatach el Mordechai el rechov ha'ir asher lifnei shar hamelech Vayager lo Mordechai et asher karahu et parashat hakesef asher amar Haman Lipo egin ze hamelech mihudi le'abedam v'yapash Pachegen katapadat Asher nitan b'shushan lahashmidam natan lo ve'arot et Esther o hagid la utzavot aleha lavo hamelech ve'ilhanen lo v'kesh mi'afanav al amah v'yavo hatach v'yagid Esther et Yifrei Mordechai.
Do we have any sanitizing wipes?
That's
I
house
have
of
jumbo
maintenance.
print if you would like.
Oh, jumbo print.
Bigger
Like
print.
jumbo print. I'm still going to use this.
Okay.
Let's do this to make it for me. When the dreadful news reached Mordecai, he said with a loud, bitter cry, "This decree must be seen. Take it straight to the queen." And I hope for a speedy reply. Esther realized with dread that her mission might be breaching the king's prohibition to intrude on his court when an audience was sought could be viewed as an act of sedition. Said Mordecai, "Do not falter, or we shall be sent to the slaughter. For our lives you must plead, for the Jews intercede. Help will come from a heavenly quarter." This prospect, she said, I don't relish, unless the king's minded to cherish. But I'll make the approach, and this subject I'll broach, and then if I perish, I perish.
What could possibly go wrong? Toda rabba, Alana. Toda rabba, Yasher Koach, Cantor Benjamin. So, Mordecai, it seems, kept trying to get Esther's attention to share this very important news with her. And because she was not just trying to protect the Jews, really, she was fighting for freedom for all of us. And, unfortunately, Morty just couldn't go knock on her door and say, "Hey, Esther, I have a little message for you." So he really needed to work hard to get her attention. So our next submission is from the dance competition that they entered together in order to try to get this message, this very important message to her. Nope, that's going to happen again. I know, it was good. So you might not recognize him from Dancing with the Stars, but that young man over there is also that young man over there. Chapter 5, that's me. Rachel, come on up. Chapter 5 is on page 20. Vayehi bayom hashlishi v'talbish Esther malchut v'tamod b'chatzar beit hamelech hapnimit nochach beit hamelech v'hamelech yoshev al kisei malchuto b'beit hamalchut nochach petach habayit vayehi Chirot hamelech et Esther hamalka Omedet b'chaser nasachein beinav Vayoshet hamelech ve'Esther Et sharvit hazahav asher biado V'takriv Esther V'tiga berosh hasharvit. You're up.
Okay. Esther fasted 3 days and 3 nights, shunning all culinary delights. Then she dressed to the nines in enticing designs. A basque and some black fishnet tights, the king rested on his throne drowsing, sleeping off a long night of carousing. When Esther drew near, he said, "Sweetie, come here. I find your attire arousing." She sided up his behest. He said, "Tell me, babe, what's your request?" Esther, no longer scared, said, "I've dinner prepared. You bring Haman, and I'll do the rest. If this is your wish," said the king, "it seems like a very small thing. I always assume women want more perfume, expensive Swiss handbags, and bling." Haman said to his wife, "I'm excited to be in this manner invited, for in Queen Esther's eyes, my stock's on the rise. So I'll tell her that I'd be delighted, yet Mordecai's conduct still galls me. His refusal to bow just appalls me. I'll see the man swing, and then I will go to the king, the esteem of whose wife quite enthralls me.
Rabba. The end of chapter 5, verse 13. V'chol zeh einenu shoveli v'chol eitz asher ani roeh et Mordechai HaYehudi yoshev b'sha'ar hamelech v'tomer lo zeresh ishto v'chol ohavav ya'asu eitz kavocha mishimama ובבוקר אמר למלך, ויתלו את מרדכי עליו, ובואים המלך על המשתה שמח, ויצב הדבר לפני המן. ויעט העץ. So we've heard a little bit about this Esther and the very important job that she plays in the story of Purim. So I want us to take a moment to really get to know this Esther, this person in our story. And so our next submission is from Felicia Sloan and Tom Knight, who will introduce us a little more to Queen Esther. Stop doing that. That's okay, go get a new one. These are old. Go get a new one from the back. All right. So now that we've had a chance to get to know Esther a little bit more better, understand a little bit more about what she's feeling inside, I think we're ready to move on to chapter 6. Are you reading chapter 6?
I will read the English.
Okay. Chapter 6 we can find on page, wait for it, 22. Nope, that's chapter 5. We should read chapter 6. Balaylahu Nidadashanat HaMelech Vayomer Lehavi et Sefer HaZichronot Divrei Hayamim Vayehiu Nikraim Lifnei HaMelech Vayimatzei Chatuv Asher Higid Mordechai Al Bigtana Vateresh Shnei Sarisei HaMelech Mishomrei Hasaf Asher Biksho Lishloach Yad B'Melech Achashverosh.
All right. At 3:15 in the morning, the king was still tossing and yawning. Then he'd fidget and cough, but he couldn't drop off, and he longed for the day to start dawning. A chamberlain wearing a monocle read aloud from the court's daily chronicle. It consisted of lists, but no longer exists, which is why it was never canonical. The chamberlain said, "Here's a nugget," and nobody's bothered to plug it. But the Jew Mordechai foiled an evil plot by installing a wire to bug it. So the plot, said the king, was recorded. It was traitorous, wicked, and sordid. But the plotters were sacked and their telephones hacked by a man we have not yet rewarded. Send for Haman, the man I rely on. He may have some thoughts I can try on. He can be rather grim, but I get along with him, just so long as I don't mention Zion. Although he found Haman unnerving, he said, "There's a man most deserving, so help me devise some acceptable prize, and his loyalty is truly unswerving." So Haman considered, and duly, he thought this refers to yours truly. I'll soon be raised high, then I'll show Mordechai how I punish the proud and unruly. He said, "Gladly, sir, I'll be your mentor. Clothe the man in Chanel and Derbenta. Select a fine horse, your own stable, of course, then he'll ride through the town's city center. Your idea is too good to waste." So the king, said the king, "And it's much to my taste, to Mordechai go, and fix it just so. Now off with you, Haman, make haste." Haman went, but his language was blue. His hatred, if anything, grew. He cursed his bad luck, cried aloud, "What a schmuck! I'll soon be revenged on that Jew." When Mordechai mounted the steed, he said, "Here's a turn-up indeed. I'm not an equestrian, just a Red Sea pedestrian. Shanks's pony is all that I need."
We continue with the end of chapter 6 on page 24, verse 13. Vaysaper Haman Lizeres Ishto Ulacholo Havav Et Kol Asher Karahu Vayomer Lo Hamav Vazeres Ishto Imizera HaYehudim Mordechai Asher Hachilota Lin Pol Lefanav Lo Tuchalo Kinafol Pol Lefanav Odim Medabrim Ayamo Vesarisei HaMelech Higiyu Vayav Hilu Lehavi Et Haman El Hamishte Asher Asta Esther. All right. The plot thickens.
It does.
It does indeed. As we move into chapter 7, we can really start to feel the pressure of what's happening here in this story. We can feel the pressure mounting on Esther as she's trying to figure out what is she going to do. We can feel the pressure mounting in the story as we worry for the Jews, what's going to happen to them? And we can feel the pressure mounting for Mordecai, just hoping that Esther will be able to come to the aid of everybody around her to save all the Jews. Can you feel the pressure? I don't know what makes you say that.
At your service, and they can't know that
Wait, that's it.
she's not Persian. She's got towers, she's got perches, on a show that she knows what her worth is. She don't ask how hard the work is. Got a quiet, infallible service. Diamonds and platinum, he's got them, she has them, she loves, but just hands it, she follows commandment. She's feeling nervous, she wants to know if her efforts will save us, or if they're gonna hurt us. She's feeling nervous, her people need help, she asks them, I really did, I earned this. She's feeling nervous, that's all she really wants, just so can she be a service. The law is like, her people weren't sent, and power out the light, she wants her dishes back, she's from the Persian crown. Whoa. Esther, but she'll trip, if she doesn't look down.
So as we know, Esther is both... What?
Roro.
She's very strong.
I have jumbo
She's
pages
very
of life.
fierce.
Look at this.
She's also
Okay.
brave.
So I'm gonna read
She's
the
also
first two verses in
sensitive.
Hebrew, and then you'll do
She
the
holds
thing
a
in Latin.
lot.
It's in Hebrew.
And none of us are one thing. We are many things. If you have not seen Encanto, run and see it right now. Because it's pretty awesome. We continue on chapter 7, page 24.
ויבוא המלך והמן לשתות עם אסתר המלכה. ויאמר המלך לאסתר גם ביום השני במשתה היין מה שאלתך אסתר המלכה ותתנתן לך ומה בקשתך עד חצי המלכות ותעש.
At the banquet of Esther the queen, there was sushi and nouvelle cuisine, chopped liver and borscht and Bloom's garlic worscht, and a jelly without gelatin. The king, amidst drinking and laughter, said, Esther, just what are you after? Is it diamonds or land or a colliery band or some other gift even dafter? Then Esther got down on her knees, saying, Husband, be serious, please. You accepted a bribe to extinguish my tribe. Alas, what dark hours are these? The king pleaded incomprehension and asked, What's this bride that you mention? My dear, you're my wife. Any risk to your life would bring on my old hypertension. Said Esther, this Amalekite is the man I would have you indict. The king said, no kidding. Well, I'll do your bidding. Now Haman Get out of my sight. The king then stormed into the garden. He could feel all of his arteries harden. Haman sat next to Esther, which greatly distressed her, and asked her to plead for a pardon. When the king very shortly returned, his anger now kindled and burned. Barely catching his breath, he said, "Put him to death and consider this banquet adjourned."
Vayomer karvona echad min hasarisim lifnei hamelech v'gam hinei ha'etz asher asa haman lemordechai asher diber tov al hamelech omeid bebeit Haman. Gavoa hamishim amav vayomer hamelech tiluhu alav vayitluhu et Haman. Al ha'etz asher hekin lemordechai v'chamat hamelech shakacha.
Toda rabah. Yeah?
We are
Okay.
good.
For our next submission to our talent show, it is my deep pleasure to welcome to our bima Davin Haley, who will, that's wrong, who will grace us, with his musical stylings of
Oh, no.
Chillin' Time. Oh, yeah. Should we, like,
Stand or something to...
maybe.
Here. There isn't one back there, just use this.
No. Oh, yeah.
We got it.
Oh.
Oh, well, it'll be fine.
All right, never mind. Oh, yeah, okay. You can. Me.
One second. Please hold.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Mind if I...
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. I'd be impressed if you could do that.
Oh, I have a mask in there that has a hole through it. Your problem. Pretty good. Good. In the back. Can I hear it? Yeah. Yeah, bring it up. All right, here we go. Here is Chillin' Time.
Thanks, Daph. We continue with chapter 8, which is page 26. Yeah, you come up.
Okay. So I'm going to start, and then I'm going to do 2 verses in Hebrew, then you take over. Okay. All right. Bayom hahu Natan Hamelech Hashverosh Liester Hamalka et Beit Haman. Dover HaYehudim O Mordechai Balifnei Hamelech Ki Hayida Esther Mahula Vayasar HaMelech et Hato Asher Hevir Me Haman. Vayitena leMordechai Vatasem Esther et Mordechai al Beit Haman.
Now, the prospect for Jews looked healthy, and Mordecai grew very wealthy. For the king now despised the plot Haman devised, saying, "Darn, but that schmuck was stealthy." Royal letters were sent near and far regarding the month of Adar. The plot was depraved, but the Jews would be saved. Well, for Haman, it was au revoir.
All right, we continue at verse 16 in the Hebrew on page 28. The words are La Yehudim, Haita Ora, V'simcha V'sason Vikar. The Jews had light and gladness and joy and honor. If you know this, please join with us. Thank you.
All right. V'chol medina u'medina, v'chol ir va'ir, mekom asher dvar hamelech v'dato, magia, simcha v'zason la'yehudim, mishteh v'yom tov v'rabim, me'amei ha'aretz mit yahadim, כי נפל פחד היהודים עליהם.
So as we get to chapter 9, we're, God willing, getting to a better place in the story, a place of labriut, a place of celebration, a place of joy. And our next submission is from an a cappella group called the Wise Studs. And if you look very closely, some of you might recognize somebody who has like kind of a ponytail and a bun in the back, who's like hopping around and dancing. So if you've come to BTBJU, if you have come to Worldwide Rap, if you were in the 6th grade in person last year, stay tuned. You might recognize someone. Thanks, Asher. See ya. See ya. I might just a couple times. classroom scenes, especially at the end, you could see Gedalia kind of floating around in different places. Yeah, he wasn't in the beginning. He was just in the end. I was watching it, and I was like, oh, look who it is! It was very exciting. Chapter 9 begins on page 30. And we are joined by Bert, who will lead us in the Hebrew.
Remember, this is the part where we have all of the Haman and his sons get. And the tradition is to do it all in one breath.
I'll be starting on verse 4.
Have fun doing it with a mask, Bert.
He took it down.
Gadol Mordechai b'veit hamelech v'shamo holech b'chol medinot kol ish Mordechai holech v'gadol v'yaku haYehudim b'chol oileihem makat b'cherev v'cherev v'avdan v'yasuhu b'soneihem kirtzonam V'shoshan habirat Argu haYehudim ve'abeid Chamesh me'ot ish V'et Pashandata v'et Alfon v'et Asfata v'et Horata v'et Aldalia v'et Aridata v'et Hormashta v'et Arisai v'et Aridai v'et היהודים הרגו ובביזה לא שלחו את ידם.
Now there followed a great deal of fighting, which was triggered by Haman's inciting.
Are you going to announce me?
But to Esther's relief, Haman's men came to grief. And she put the whole thing down in writing. Esther wrote in a detailed report how Mordecai managed to thwart those evil intentions by bold interventions and rose to distinction at court. At Purim, we drink like the Persians, with nobody casting aspersions. The villain gets hissed. We all get Brahms and Liszt and engage in lighthearted diversions. So this is the end of our thriller with Haman, condemned as a killer. Mordecai and his niece both had gladness and peace, and that is the Ganser Megillah.
To close out our evening tonight, and to bring home the sing theme of our night, we have, if you've seen the movie, the very tiny Mikey has a very important role in Sing 1. He's not there in Sing 2. I don't know where he went. We're very disturbed by the fact that he didn't come back. But Mikey is in Sing 1, and he's this teeny tiny thing. We are now going to have the same song shared with us by not a very teeny tiny thing, by a very great big thing with a great big voice to match. And so we're going to bring it home with a little Frank Sinatra.
I guess I'll make myself tinier. There we go.
Never.
I don't have the magical wire to fly me out over the audience, so you'll forgive me for this.
None of us should ever make ourselves tiny.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I've traveled each and every highway and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Regrets,
I'll be back, okay?
I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption. I planned each chartered course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit off more than I could chew. And through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all, and I stood tall, and did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed and cried, I've had my fill, my share of losing, and now, as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say, not in a shy way. Oh no, not me. I did it my way. For what is a mouse? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. The record shows I took the blows. God, this is our dude on a mask, and in it my way. Have a good Purim.
Lobby, our Mishloach Manot, if you did not get yours, please take it on the way out. There's also lots of Homentashen, so please take all the Homentashen. Happy Purim. Thank you to Max. Thank you to Suzanne. Thanks to everyone who participated. Whew. You're too hot? Are you okay?
No, I'm not. I haven't been that hot once.
Okay, good. I'm very hot.